Hey everybody, today I'm going to do some live coding on Zulip itself. And the context here is that I was using the Zulip API and I reported a bug to Zulip about how you specify narrows. And narrows in Zulip are basically like search criteria. So in some places in Zulip, if I want to say I want all public streams, the modern way of saying it is that the operator streams and the operand is public. And then there's this legacy way of saying it where you just pass in this essentially like a little tuple or a two element array where you say streams in public. And what I want to do is I want to make this function that is called build narrow filter support the more modern way of specifying the narrow, where you actually pass in a dictionary with operator and operand. And the more modern way is more flexible because you could, for example, also pass in like a flag that says negated equals true, which means that your filter for the narrow is actually looking for all the messages that do not meet the criterion of, for example, being a public stream. But the negated piece of it's like not the most essential element of it. Basically, this is just like a change where we want some more consistency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find build narrow filter in the code base. Scrub for depth. Okay, so I'm looking for observer lib narrow.py. Okay. I need to figure out, I don't like element. That sounds like an HTML element. Do I want to say subnarrow? Yeah, it's tricky. I just remember that I want to create a new branch. Git status, I'm on my main branch. I'll call this branch narrow for now, and I can always rename it. What are these little thingies that make up the narrow? Just for context. I'm moving to this thing. In this particular case, the elements of the array, hence the name element, the elements of the array are each a dictionary. Let's just call it narrow dict. How about that? So, assuming that the callers of my function here that I just modified change how they pass in the narrow data to me, I believe this is the only change that I need to make to build narrow filter. Now, of course, this is going to break. And before I talk anymore, let me go ahead and start running some tests. I'm going to use screen. Um, and I'm going to do tools, test backend. Let me make sure it at least gets started. This is going to take a while. This takes like a couple minutes to run. So while this thing is running, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to study the code, and I might pause the video if it's taking really long. I don't know why it's taking so long to get started. That's a little weird. Well, while that's thinking, um, notice how narrow is now specified. These are MyPy static types here. Narrow is specified as a collection of a sequence of strings, but now it's going to be a collection of dictionary. And so I basically want to like look around in the code base for everywhere where we have these like operator and operand sort of set up, and then I'll be able to like borrow the MyPy types. Okay, so the tests are finally running. So in order to do the development, Zulip was kind enough to give me what's called a droplet, which is just like a Linux box that I can log into. Droplets are the name that this company called DigitalOcean gives to their Linux instances. They kind of gave me a box that's like a little underpowered. They're going to fix that in the next day or so. But let me see if I can find places where we use operator and operand. So I'm going to detach from my screen instance. Look for operand. Let me look in server. I got that right. Nope. Okay. Well, right in the file of server narrow. Dict stream term any. So I wanna have a more precise type than dict string any. Hopefully, I can find a better example. Go to the top of the file. That's not encouraging. What should I be looking for? So the operand is a string. Let me do this. That's not helpful at all. Query select is interesting. What does select mean? That's just SQL alchemy. Lingo for select. Again, just backing up here, like what I'm trying to do is figure out how to do the MyPy types here. Not overly concerned about this. My MyPy is really rusty, but I'm not going to make it worse than it actually is. And when I file the PR, I'll try to explain that we could probably have more precise MyPy types than what I'm providing here. Um, Actually, let me find more places where we use operand. Actually, let me spy on. The tests are still running. Message fetch looks promising. Oh no, that's JavaScript code. I don't care about that. Let me look at observer reviews message fetch.py. Now this looks promising. Okay. So optional narrow list. I don't need it to be optional. But again, they just use list of dict string any. Um, Again, I'm not too obsessed about my pie types. I just want the general shape to be pretty close for now. And the tests are still running. All right, so build narrow filter is going to be called by event queue. So we're going to have to change this as well. From a collection of a sequence of a string. I don't want to do this. Tests are still running. Hmm. All right. I'm gonna pause for a little bit. I want to let these tests fail so that I can see what's going wrong. Um, and have a failing test that I can then fix. So I'm gonna pause for now. All right, I'm back. Um, okay, good. I have a failing test. This makes sense. List indices must be integers or slices, not strings. So I'm going to use the rerun option. Um, Actually, let me try this. Okay, so I have a failing test. It says list indices must be integers or slices, not string. It's very clearly related to the change that I just made with the narrow dict operator. So I guess I should start by looking at the test. Okay, what am I doing here? Scenarios. Okay, so I'm calling build narrow filter directly. Looks like I need to modify that file. Be good. Right. So I'm opening this JSON file. I got my scenarios. Narrow. Okay. Yeah, this file is relatively small. I think this is another good time to pause. I'm gonna have to do some pretty brutal editing. Let me show you one more example. Okay, I'll pause and edit the rest of these off. All right, I'm back again. Oof, that was some brutal editing that you didn't have to see. Let me see what my diff looks like. So there's this JSON fixture that is basically like setting up all the things that we're going to call this function Uh, we have this function called build narrow filter that we're calling in the tests. Let me just run the test again. I expect errors. Well, I got this right. Oh, great. JSON decode error. All right. See line 126. Oh, that's just missing a quote. All right, now it's still complaining that list indices must be integers or slices, not string. So let's do some good old-fashioned print debugging here. Stream devel. I just missed one. Okay. So it's complaining about check supported events narrow filter. Ah, know what that's about. Hopefully you saw what I did there. I'm not worrying about my pi types yet. I'm still getting list indices must be integers or slices, not string. So this narrow dict is still complaining on line 106. String indices must be integers. I want to be pretty clear what I'm looking at. I've got this invalid operator. Where's that coming from? Invalid operator. Okay, that's in the test itself. Oh, I got one test passing. Um, what I meant to do. Well, let me get this passing. I can make this pass. Test build narrow filter. That one's still failing for some reason. I want to focus on just this one test. List indices must be integers or slices, not string. I've got a. Oh, I know what's going on there. Pretty sure. Narrow dict here is a list when I don't expect it to be a list. Ah, these are all wrong. All right, off camera again. Back again. All right, that's progress. Okay, you can see here that I still have the wrong number of, that I have a list of dictionaries instead of a list of dictionaries. That it's that. 3, 4. All right. Okay. So I got that test passing. What have I done so far? In these two places, I'm now dealing with the fact that narrow is a bunch of dictionaries instead of a bunch of tuples. I have not yet fixed the MyPy types. That's still on my list. I'm starting to think about MyPy because I extracted out this narrow list T. Then I have all these test fixtures that I needed to convert from tuples to dictionaries. Um, and then I had this test where I also converted from a tuple to a dictionary. And when I say tuple, I mean a 2-element list in Python. It's not technically a Python tuple, but it's like a tuple in the generic sense. And we want to go to a more explicit dictionary so that the fields are named. I'm gonna stop there. This is pretty typical of a change like this. This change is a little more painful because I'm on a new development environment, and so I don't have my editor set up exactly the way I like it. But I do think it was pretty typical. So if you've been listening up to now, thanks for your attention. Bye.